What's up? Good morning. Welcome to Trading Live with Bubba. Of course, I wouldn't call this exactly trading, but we're here. We'll take a look and see if we can find anything to do. Very, very much of a challenge out here with the lack of activity in the markets. I mean, this has been the theme, but you guys aren't hearing this for the first time from me. This has been very much the theme of very little to do. And when there's very little to do, it's hard to want to get too excited. We did have some earnings stuff overnight. Google had some earnings, opened, it got much higher, and then is now pretty much flat on a day. It's slightly higher. T-Mobile ran up a little bit, and it's still higher. Oops, it'd be nice if I could type. Okay, that's a little nice little move. It broke above the 200-day moving average. We'll see. And Tesla, which is the other direction. You know, there's just not much to do. Now, you think about this. You had earnings, and you still have no volume. Okay, so that makes it a bigger challenge to it from a trading standpoint. Maybe we'll get something here to trade in the S&P, maybe in the NASDAQ. I don't know. It's kind of frustrating because of how slow it actually is. We're pushing up against the highs in the S&P. But overall, it's just really not very exciting in here. There's no emotion, there's no speed, there's no fear. So it makes it harder to expect those either rallies off of the sell-offs or those sell-offs off of the rallies. Interesting market mixed. Dow down, S&P up, Russell down, NASDAQ up. So, again, this maybe we'll get a trade here in the S&P. Again, it's kind of a reach, kind of a stretch, but we'll take a peek at it and see if it'll give us something to do. But overall, not overly exciting. Nothing to get dramatic about. But again, we are going to get something here in the S&P. So let's go ahead and take a look. Right now, the stop would be 64.22. Should we get a trade? We don't have a trade yet, but should we get one? 64.22. And we'll see. No trade yet, but again, we're still waiting for it. If it shows, it shows, but we're looking to sell the S&P on a trigger. We don't have one yet. 64.22 is the stop. Should we get it? Again, it's obviously extremely slow. And again, you would think thered be a little bit more action with the earnings that came out yesterday, but there really is not. Was the Dow a potential trade? No, not really. So basically, we're waiting for the S&P, which could trigger 64.22 stop. Could trigger right here. And it looks like it's going to. We're going to wait. Okay, if you want to trade the S&P, you can short it. 64.22 stop. And of course, if you did take the trade, work your orders in below. Okay, a little bit of profit right now. Nothing dramatic, nothing that we're going to take. But certainly, working in the correct direction that we're looking for. You should have, if you did take the trade, you should have one off. You can take your stop to break even now. Again, we're not going to get too risque here, but we are out with a profit, and now we're just letting it trade out. Okay, and let's see if anything else has developed while we were here. Not really. Okay, but we do have a profit locked in on the S&P. So that's something that, obviously profits are better than losses, obviously. But again, there's really not a lot to get excited about here. Certainly it would be, I can't wait till the day that we get some real action where we can kind of watch this together and trade it. I mean, hell, if it was busy, we trade it every day. I would do this with you guys every day if I had some business, but right now there's nothing really to look at. Certainly your stop, if you did take the S&P trade, should be at break even. But if we look at the other markets, again, there's not enough to look at here. So I'm just trying to, there's nothing to do in Apple. Okay. Amazon is certainly one you could look at. Now they got earnings next week and you'd have to go to next week. So probably not a trade you'd want to make now. I mean, certainly you don't want to be shorting into earnings. Not that you'd be wrong, but again, why bother? Coin, nothing to really do here. Crowd, right on the hovering on the bottom. Certainly you'd be considering selling put spreads in here. Now again, I'm not playing a lot myself right now. Okay, I'm just telling you straight up. I always share what I do or what I don't do, whether we win or whether we lose. I just don't. Again, this is a potential put selling opportunity. Personally, I'd rather not have to worry about it or think about it myself. Basically, all I'm looking for now is what I would call a no-brain trade. Meta, they got earnings next week, so not a lot to do there. Google is now a potential, and Google certainly, if you wanted to sell call spreads here, would be legitimate. I did sell earlier, okay, so I'm not going to resell them now myself, but I sold them when we were at 197, okay. And again, I'm just saying that those are things. INQ, nothing. IWM, really nothing. MP, really nothing. Microsoft, really nothing. They got earnings either today or next week, I forget. MSTR, nothing. So you're seeing the consistent pattern. NNE, that's something that you could look at to sell some spreads. I'm personally long this stock, and I'm not really looking to sell anything right now. Again, we bought it down here, or I bought it down there. I don't know if we did, but I did. Nugget, as we said the other day, is sell at 80. Well, we missed that if you didn't sell it yesterday, so there's really nothing to do there. NVIDIA, nothing yet. Palantir, nothing yet. QBTS, close. You could look at it. It's one that you could look at if you wanted. Again, like I said, I'm more willing to sit it out right in here. I'm not excited about doing much of anything. I think that all right, we're stopped out of our S&P with a profit. Okay. XYZ. This is one I would definitely look at, but again, the premium wasn't high enough the other day when we looked, and again, but typically stock gets approved with the S&P, gets the spike, and then of course works its way back. The spiders, there's something that's close, but again, you have to decide, do you want to really get involved in this market? And I don't really want to. Tesla, really nothing to do anyways. Win, nothing to do. XBI, you could certainly look at selling call spreads here if you wanted. Again, I'm personally, all I'm doing now, I've got a number of positions open, but all I'm doing now is trading, the short-term stuff if there's anything to do. And there's been very little to do. With this S&P trade with you guys, that was my third trade of the day. Okay. And I've been sitting here, but I've been up since 4:30 Eastern time. Okay. It's 1:30 Pacific time. But you don't have enough action. There's not enough volume that's creating enough opportunity, because if you're trying to play off of the emotion of others, which is what we're trying to do, okay, there's really no emotion to this market, okay, and I think that's something to understand, that with a lack of emotion, that means that there's a lack of speed. That means that there's a lack of true opportunity to actually take advantage, okay? Doesn't mean you can't, but you have to weigh, as a trader, you have to weigh to yourself, what is the odds of getting a trade? What is the probability of that trade being a winner? Okay. And right now, again, could they be winners? Yeah. Okay. I passed the trade this morning in crude oil. That would have been a big winner. But again, I'm not upset. I just don't feel the necessary need to have to be involved in a market that is not trading to my advantage. Okay. And that's what we're again, every trade we make, we at least want to go in thinking that we have the edge. Okay. And there is not a dramatic amount of edge. Now, maybe something will show up. Maybe crude will go straight up from here and we'll get a big volume spike. Hey, we'll be ready if it happens. But overall, I ask you, if you're paying attention, you've been here a couple of times, do you see anything that we should be trading right now? And certainly you're always welcome to ask questions and comment if you choose. You don't have to, but it certainly makes the show a little bit more interesting and keeps you more engaged, and maybe you'll learn something. But overall, as we look at this, there doesn't appear to be an overwhelming amount of things to do. Okay. And that's, that's kind of what I said this morning on the update, which I do every day for Tradier, early in the morning. Just, there's not much going on, not a lot to get excited about. I mean, we are kind of overbought on a very short-term basis here. But again, with the lack of speed or any activity, do I really want to put myself at risk? Okay. And that's what you're always asking yourself. Do I want to risk? Okay. You're getting a little spike up in crude, but there's no volume here. There's nobody chasing it up. So why should I figure out that I want to trade there? Okay. Again, these are things that we always have to remember, is we're trying to grab an edge. Okay. And when there's no speed and there's no real movement, okay, it's hard to grab an edge. Now, crude's on its high, but there's not really enough volume here. I mean, if the volume was up here, I'd be looking a lot closer. But where it's at, I'm not really all that interested. Okay. Again, I'm just telling you that this is what, you as a trader, which is why, floor traders, we used to spend so much time on the golf course, because when there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do. What am I going to miss? One trade? You have to weigh your time as well. Okay. It's always fine to sell some premium and some credit if you choose to do so in the option world. Again, there's nothing that I'm willing to do right now. I hate to get involved in the middle of the earnings season. And again, the lack of action in the market makes it harder for me to want to be involved anyways. So I choose to sit it out. I choose to just sit on the sidelines. I mean, again, I have many positions on, so it's not like I'm not trading at all, but I've got, my long-term portfolio on, which is hedged. I've got some portfolio models which trade long and short. So it's not like I'm not involved, but I don't want to be actively involved unless there's a reason for me to be actively involved. And right now, I don't really see an overwhelming reason that says that I really need to be involved here. And that's something that you have to take note of and think about. Okay. Does it make sense? Okay. And I don't really believe that at this point in time, it makes sense for us to be overly involved here, because there's nothing going on. And, again, I can't really find anything that I would want to show you that would say that there was something going on that I'd want to trade. Okay. And that becomes the bigger issue. Is it worth your time and the risk you have to take to go along with it to get involved? And I don't think it is. Again, we'll watch and we'll see if something shows up. I mean, again, markets don't announce themselves, so you never know. But as it sits right now, there's really very little. There's very little activity in the market. There's very little to do. So, we're not going to force it. Sure, the crude trade would have worked had we had taken it. But again, I wasn't interested in taking it, and I don't care. Okay. We would have shorted it up here. Again, I don't care that I missed the trick. Okay. That's not what I do. Okay. Now, maybe it'll take it down. Maybe it'll give us a buying opportunity now. Okay. I mean, certainly the volume is going to be greater than the last few bars. So maybe that gives us an opportunity. Okay. But at the end, again, I'm not trying to, force anything here. I think you make a mistake when you try to force your way in or out of markets. I think you let the markets dictate to you what is next. And certainly, crude is slowly vacillating and losing the steam that it had to take it down. Now, maybe it'll pick up again. Listen, we still got a minute to go. So it certainly could be something to look at. But the only trade we've had so far is our S&P trade. Now, listen, it wasn't the greatest. It made money, but just because it made money doesn't make it the greatest trade. Okay, that's one thing I want you to remember. Just because a trade makes money doesn't make it good. Okay, it was reasonable. It was not a trade that I would normally like to look at, but again, based on what I got going on here, and we're here, I figured we'd take a shot at it. Now, this crude trade, which is not really a great trade at this point. Okay, and we'll continue to watch it and see. But again, I think you're making a mistake. Okay, by trying to get out now. It is actually popping, so now it is becoming a potential trade. Our stop would be right now. The stop would be 65.35 would be the stop right now if we were to get a trade here. And it looks like we might. I just hope it doesn't get too far because I don't want to chase it back up, and I don't want to take that much risk. But maybe it'll be reasonable. Okay. Looks like it's going to be a trade, maybe. Okay, let's see. Let's see what happens. Okay, if you want to take the crude trade, it's certainly a reasonable trade to take. Okay, again, if you want to take it, certainly I couldn't fault you for taking it. 65.35 is a stop. Actually, make your stop 65.30. 65.35 is the dead low. We'll give it a little room to potentially test the low if it gets on there. You're getting a little bit of a rally. Okay. So now you've got a little bit of a profit. Now, since we're going to be done shortly, go ahead and move your stop up to lock in 3 ticks. You've got about 6 or 7. Lock in 3. Still work your orders above, but I don't want you to have to manage on your own if you're not sure what I'm doing here. So go ahead and lock in 3 ticks so that you at least have a profit before we cut out. But you are running up a little bit right now, which is good. Okay. So there you should lock in. You're still in the trade. And we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. We're close to getting one off at a 10-tick profit. But we're also somewhere close to getting stopped out with a total of, depending on how many contracts you're trading, 3 contracts, three ticks per contract. Well, go ahead and lock in 4 ticks on your trade. Just because I don't want you to be stuck and wondering what to do. We're still working our orders up above. But I do want to make sure that you get at least a profit out of this trade. That'll make us 2 for 2 today. We know we can't lose. We know there's no risk. It's just a question of how much can we make now. Go ahead and lock in another tick. I might as well take the money. All right. So again, you've got a profit. You can manage it from here any way you want, but you do have a profit on the trade overall. And have a great week, everybody. I'll see you back here on Tuesday. And remember, every morning I do an update, so you can check it out at the Market 120. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. We'll see you later.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.